me turn on recording. We'll hear this start up here in a second. All right, guys, welcome to the ClimbforEE June 2013 team call. I want to thank you guys all for joining us today. And we've had a tremendous run here, guys. Everything's been going good. The fundraising is going good. People are starting to train, all this good stuff. It's lots of fun. And real quickly, for those of you on the call who aren't familiar with what we're doing, ClimbforEE is it's a climb of Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa that I sort of organized. I've got 3 of my children all who have a disease called Eosinophilic Esophagitis. Basically, what it is, it's your body's incorrect response to eating food. So when EE patients eat food, their body thinks it's an invader and actually tries to attack itself instead of using the food for nourishment. And it's a very complicated disease. There's no cure for it today. And we decided to do a great a climb of Kilimanjaro to help raise some money and awareness to hopefully find a cure for it for my kids and some of the kids that you see on this call, and even some of the adults that are on this call have EE. And I'll tell you, guys, I am so excited today because we've got a very cool guy on the phone. Kyle Maynard has been gracious enough to spend some time with us tonight. Kyle, if I can say this, you're one of the most inspirational guys I've ever heard about or even seen. And I'm sure you hear that a ton, because it's very true. And I'll tell you, I cannot tell you how many times I've watched the ESPN video of you, and just flabbergasts me every time. As a matter of fact, Rusty, who's on the call here, he sent me an email the other day. He said, because he just got back from Kilimanjaro, and he said, you're a man among men. That was his quote. So everyone sort of knows it, and we're happy to have you today. Very, very happy to have you today. So what I thought we can do, guys, is Kyle's really busy. He's been nice enough to spend some time with us. So I wanted him to maybe take 15 minutes or so, sort of tell you his story, because there's a really good story here. And then, if you guys want to ask any questions of him, we can do some questions, maybe 10 minutes at the end. If you can, I'm going to leave everyone muted because it gets really loud, when I unmute everybody. So there's a chat window on your lower left-hand corner. Just put the chat questions in, and Kyle, make sure you do it on public, and Kyle and I can both see it. We'll try to get as many questions answered as possible. Of course, we got to be cognizant of Kyle's time. So, Kyle, with that, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Awesome. No, thanks for having me, man. I think it's really cool to see what you guys are doing there, and I mean, just the experience for everybody that's going to Kilimanjaro. You said your friend that's on the call that just got back. I mean, it's a pretty unbelievable place, and I know too, Ira, you guys are going with Kevin and Kristen. That's right?
Absolutely, dude. Nothing but the best.
Yeah, that's right. I'd probably be sitting down at the base of the mountain right now if it hadn't been for them. Still stuck there looking up at it, trying to go and climb in like bike tires wrapped around the ends of my arms. Kind of just to give people a little bit more of a visual for me, I was born with a condition it's really just congenital amputation. They don't really know what happened in terms of my disability. I was just born with arms that end at my elbows and legs that end right about the knee. So when I walk around my house, I opt to go without a wheelchair, so I usually just bear crawl down on all fours. And so I've kind of always gotten around. If I go longer distances, then I'll use a wheelchair. But then to take on something like Kilimanjaro, it was a whole different animal. And so Kevin and Kristen were invaluable in helping come up with the system and what we used to go and climb, and then also introduced me to some folks, Barb and Brett Booten, out in Phoenix that actually ended up making the gear itself. So I always had a life growing up in sports and playing different things, football, nose guard as a youngster, and would try to take my face mask and smash it into people's shins, and that was kind of my strategy there. And growing up got involved in wrestling and was really, really bad when I started. And lost every match I competed in for a year and a half, and then finally broke through and won a match. Ended up wrestling varsity for one of the top teams in the Southeast, and it was an awesome experience. And then most recently kind of got involved in, interested in the whole mountaineering community and world. I was introduced to Kevin Chirilla by a guy named Eric Weinemeyer, who was the first blind climber to climb Everest. Kevin had been Eric's base camp manager on Everest when Eric did his ascent. And I knew from the beginning, it was, Kevin was really the only guy in the world that can make it happen to get me up there. And when I said we started climbing in like bike tires that were wrapped around my arms and legs, it was literally that. Like we went into Walmart and Target and basically found whatever gear that we could use to make for custom shoes on my arms and my feet. And we would buy back towels, oven mitts, pot holders, tons of duct tape, football hip and knee pads, and wrap the whole thing around in a mountain bike tire, and then tape everything together, and kind of made our own little harness system with it. And would tape it, the feet, my feet I'd tape to these padded things with a mountain bike tire wrapped around it, tape it to like Carhartt pants. And when I found Kevin and Kristen, then it was kind of third world stuff that I was working with. And when they introduced me to the folks, Barb and Brett Booten out in Arizona, that helped develop the gear, then it took it to a whole other level. The system that we ended up using was carbon fiber that wrapped around my arms and my feet, attached to a climber's harness, and padded on the inside and had a Vibram hiking shoe sole on the outside. And had two sets of the gear, and got the gear December 15th, the final set, I believe it was December 15th, and then 2011, and we took off for Kilimanjaro, departed our flights from Atlanta up to through Amsterdam and down into Tanzania on January 3rd, so literally 2 weeks before we left. And so then we got the gear, and then found ourselves sitting at the base of the mountain. And for those that have done it and for those that are going, it's when you see it, it's just one of the most unbelievable things. It's the only thing that's in your field of vision there for a while. So it's just it's the highest freestanding peak in the world. So it's not a part of a mountain chain. So that's the only thing that's really there in your vision. And it was a cloudy day at the lodge where we stayed before we came in and took off on the journey. And so it wasn't until really the morning that we went and started on the trail that I first got to see what I was getting myself into. And I remember when the clouds went and opened up and came across this clearing. You go and see the summit as we're driving up to the gate and passing through these giant Jurassic Park type gates to go and to get into the park. And looking up at this thing, it was absolutely insane. It was just it was beautiful, but it was also thinking in my head what did I get myself into? And I remember looking at it though and seeing the snow and the ice, and now you're sitting in 80-degree weather or so in the rainforest, 85-degree weather, and equatorial African rainforest, and it looks like two totally different planets. So our plan was that this is going to take 15 days to go and reach the summit, and it takes most groups about 5 or so to get to the top, 4 to 5, depending on if they push it. Kevin and Kristen usually do it the smart way and kind of scale it back and take their time, acclimatize. But for us, we plan on it taking about 3 times as long. It started off in this route called the Machame route, and as we're going along, it was the first 2 days we're in this really thick, dense green rainforest, got massive rainstorm, and I was just bear crawling down on all fours. And about half the pace, a third of the pace of a normal hiking group. And we pushed it. We planned on going 2 days and taking a rest day, or we would go in 2 days, taking a rest day. And we kind of adjusted the timeline, and we ended up going 5 straight days. And that was the part where it was really most discouraging for me about a third of the way up through this. So after, you cross through the rainforest, it turns into a deciduous forest, and from this deciduous forest, it kind of opens up above this tree line, and it's this wide open plain. And from the plain, kind of turns into this like desert Mars type land after that. I mean, it feels like now you really are in another planet. It's just these massive boulders that you're sort of hiking around and through. And so on day 5, we were approaching 14,000 feet. And I knew that on day 6, if we'd stuck to the plan and went 6 straight days, then we were going to go back downhill from 14,000 feet back down to about 11,000 feet on day 6. And I knew going downhill for me was going to even put that much more pressure on the ends of my arms. Granted, so I'm walking down on all fours in a bear crawl, and my elbows and feet, my elbows in particular, were feeling the brunt of the whole trek in the distance. It just been something where I'd never done something this long. I'd never really gone more than a mile or 2 outside of my wheelchair. And so I was thinking that whole 5th day, I was like, if I'm hurting this bad on day 5, I was just thinking, like, what's the rest of this whole trip going to look like? And imagining out day 8, day 11, day 14, day 15, like, how beat up am I going to be then? And it was a pretty significant amount of pain on that 5th day. And I got to a point where I think Kevin and everybody else knew that I was getting a little bit discouraged. And so Kevin was hiking ahead, and he was having a conversation, I think, with my friend Joey, who was with us on the climb. And they were talking about another alternative possibility. And this alternative possibility was, instead of coming down through the valleys where you guys will probably end up going downhill, then we could go and take the western path, the western breach, which is really the route that, like, somewhere around 1% or less of all climbers on Kilimanjaro actually go this route. And but the thing is, the trade-off was, I think it saved us somewhere around 12 miles in the total trip time. And so day 5, we looked at that, and Kevin had about 30 minutes before told Joey that he would probably never consider going up that western breach route. And after they started talking about it and started thinking about it, he started thinking, maybe this would actually be better. Kevin met with Godlison, our Tanzanian guide, while we were there, and they talked it through for a while, and Godlison wasn't really sure physically that I'd be able to go and do this route. The route with the western breach is covered in boulders and ice and snow, so they didn't know physically if it would even be possible for me to go and get through there. And Kevin came back and talked to me, and he had 2 charts. One, it was written down in this notepad, and I remember vividly looking at it, and it was the day breakdown of this is the amount of days that it takes us to go and reach the summit if we did the western breach, and this is what we do if we stuck with the same game plan. There was about a 5-day difference in terms of the total trip time, and to me, I knew it was going to be just one brutal day, and that was the trade-off. So consequently, we I told him, I was like, whatever it is, I know if it's one day I can get through this. Just the war of attrition is going to be the hard part of going through the ups and downs in these valleys. And so he had the faith in me to do it. And we gave the team a choice and said, look, here's the plan. Some of you, if you really want to go and stay on the normal route, you can do that. Otherwise, we're going to go and take this western side. And so that's what we opted to do. So Day 6, we rested. Day 7, we hiked up to the Arrow Glacier camp at the base of the western breach, which is around, I think, between 15,500 feet and 16,000 feet. We camped there and rested there in the 7th day, actually on the 8th day. And we woke up on our 9th morning on the mountain at about 2 o'clock in the morning and had to take on that western breach in one day. And the thing is with western breach is because it's so icy, once you start off on this path, like, you can't turn back. Like, the only way really to safely get through it is just to continue to go over top and back around the other side. So we know even if somebody got hurt and they fell or whatever happened, then we had to continue to press through. So we started hiking at 2 o'clock in the morning. We knew the ice would be most frozen against the ground. And we took off. And I was in the lead from our team from America. We had 9 total teammates from the States. And I was in the lead. Kevin was directly behind me, and everyone sort of followed suit behind him. Godleeson, our head Tanzanian guide, he led in front of me. The only thing that we could really see, though, was just how far our headlamps would shine. You guys are going to have this experience probably on your summit morning. You go and wake up. It's brutally cold. It's icy. You see, the only thing you can see is your headlamp, your breath. That's about it. It's pitch black outside. And it was amazing. We took off, and I had a ice spike crampon fitted for my left arm. But for other reasons, because we had switched the gear out, the spike on my right arm wasn't fitted properly. So my right arm for most of that day was basically useless. And I had ice spikes fitted, smaller micro spikes fitted for my feet. And, my strategy was, Kevin had kind of taught me that point of always having 3 points of contact down, and we'd just try to go and punch into the ice and get a firm footing and step through these ice fields. So about halfway up through this first big ice field that we hit, though, maybe only an hour into this climb, and I was getting a little tired, a little fatigued, and did not punch into the ice hard enough. I could only use my left arm, so my left arm was getting pretty worked, and the ice spike kind of slid out, and I went belly down and started to slide, and Kevin bear hugged me, probably saved my life. It was no telling what would have happened if I'd continued sliding. But I remember just at that point, like, my heart rate was jacked through the roof, and I had to kind of like go into that like tunnel vision mode, and it was too dangerous to stop. We rested there for a second, but we couldn't stay there for long. So we had to keep pressing through, and I went back and reverted in my head to this mantra that I'd heard from a Navy SEAL, and just kept repeating this mantra over and over and over again in my head. And the mantra was, not dead, can't quit. And I just kept repeating that. It became my cadence almost, not dead, can't quit. And I think it helps to have something to go and focus your thoughts on when you're really pressed to the limit. And that day, we kept pushing, and I'll never forget that around 5:30, 6 a.m. or so, the sun started to go and rise, and it warmed us, which was good because we were freezing cold. But even better than that, though, we're sitting on this ice field and looking back, and it was the only time that we could really see just about the entire trail that we had taken up, and that trail extended literally further than we could go and see. And I'll never forget that shift in perspective and sitting there on that ice field and looking back and seeing the rainforest, how far away it was now, and how far we had come to that point, and how much we had achieved just even getting there. And, it really gave me that strength to go that last push. I'm not going to lie, though, that summit, or the Western Breach Day and the subsequent summit day were probably, that was maybe the toughest 36 hours of my life. 24 hours, however quickly. We went through the Western Breach in about a 12-hour push, and made it up top to the crater rim. Got to go and sleep right at the foot of the glacier. We're 18,500 feet. We slept 3 to a tent that night, so that everybody was bundled together, so that just even trying to stay warm, but just from the condensation on our breath, there was layers of ice on our sleeping bags and on the tent when we woke up. That summit morning, we just had another 900 feet to go, which was funny because it was the exact distance of this mountain called Stone Mountain here in Georgia that had really been one of the first things that I'd ever climbed in my life. And so I knew it was just one more Stone Mountain to go, 900 feet, no big deal. We made it through waist-deep snow, which was like neck-deep snow for me. And that morning, January 15th, 7:15 a.m. 2012, we got to touch the roof of Africa, and it was one of the most unbelievable moments of my life. And for our team too, I think one of the most special things and special honors that we were given, that we had a chance to go and see the ESPN piece that was done on this, is that we got to go and then pay tribute to the ashes of a fallen soldier whose mother asked me and Kevin if we would bring his ashes to the summit. And paying tribute to Corey and leaving his ashes there, we made a little rock pyre for him that Kevin went back and got to see that it was still standing there even a year later. It was a pretty special moment. And, you know, in a lot of ways, we made the summit. It was unbelievable. It was all the payoff that I thought it would be, but in a lot of respects, there was an even bigger reward that was waiting for us. And the day after we came down to off the mountain, it took us 2.5 days to come down. I basically went down to 15,000 feet unassisted myself, slid down the volcanic ash, and had ash in just about every orifice of my body that you can imagine. And then was on like a one-wheel cart the rest of the way down, and flew off the mountain. The porters, about 6 porters went, and those guys were amazing, phenomenal. You'll see that they are the true heroes of the whole experience. And those guys went and grabbed a hold of this cart with me on top of it and literally just sprinted off the mountain. And we got down though and took a shower, which was amazing. After 12.5 days of not having a shower, it was pretty cool. But the next day, we got to go and visit the Morini School, integrated school for kids with disabilities there in Africa, that the K2 Adventure Foundation that Kevin and Kristen founded, that they have helped fund and make possible. And it was really that to me was what made the whole experience. And I remember there was some blind kids that we brought some soccer balls, and we were kicking around soccer balls with them. And I was wondering how was a blind kid going to play soccer, and they were probably wondering how I would with them too. And when we did, and you know, and they kind of gathered around me after a while, and through their headmaster, I got to go and speak to them and tell them about climbing this big mountain in their backyard. And I didn't prompt them to do this, and on their own in Swahili, they started chanting something over and over and over again. And I asked their headmaster, I said, what they were chanting, and he said that they started chanting, "Anything is possible, anything is possible, anything is possible."
You just made the hair stand up on the back of my neck, just so you know. Keep going. That was awesome.
You know, it was, but it was something there too that I think that, you know, to kind of close and leave you guys with something, I think it probably wouldn't have been possible for me if I didn't dig deep and really understand why I was there. And getting Corey to the top, the veteran that we got to carry his ashes, Corey was a big part of our why. Sending a message to those kids, you know, that they could go and do anything, that was a big part of my why. You know, and just showing people that, you know what, like you're not a victim of circumstance, that you can create the life that you want no matter who you are, like really was a deep part of why we were doing it. You know, and I know with this climb, the ClimbforEE, what you guys have here is a significant why. And I think that's what differentiates people that in business and life and anything that we go and do is that people that really go and succeed and make a difference in this world are people that understand why they're doing it. And I would say, you know, in those tougher moments, and there will be those, absolutely. And remember that. Find that gut feeling and find your why.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you know, it's so, you know, I sort of reflect on the things that you've done and the person that you are, and you know that sort of is an overriding factor at all times, right? Always sort of proving that you're not defined by maybe your disability or your disease, or you know, you can do anything that you want to do. You just have to have the right reason to do it.
I absolutely believe it, but I think it's, we all get caught up in certain identities that can be limiting. Sometimes it can be empowering. Sometimes, we can go and place limits and bounce around ourselves. Even in terms of a career path, motivational speaking is kind of what I do, but I would never really define myself as that. I want to just try to live and embody those things. And look, there's a lot of adventures out there to be had, but even those things don't make us into who we are. Really, it's what meaning and purpose are we going and bringing to this life, I think is that deeper why.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have some questions here. So we got one from Charlie. Charlie, I think he's 10 right now. He's going to be going with us on the climb. And he'll be 11 when we go. He's
wow, that's really cool, Charlie, man.
Yeah, I think him and Macy are going to be at a race for who's the youngest, I think. They're both going to be 11-ish, somewhere in there. So we'll have to look at the birth dates and see who's actually officially the youngest. But but they're both EE patients, and Macy's 13. I'm sorry. So Charlie wants to know what was the toughest part of the climb for you?
You know what? I'd say that physically the Western Breach and that one day for the summit was physically the toughest part. However, physically, I think mentally the toughest part that I faced was probably the 4th and 5th day on the mountain. I remember laying in my tent on the 4th day while I was hearing my friends laughing and joking outside. And like I said, I was already in a little bit of pain on that 4th and 5th day, and a lot of pain. And it was like I remember laying there thinking, and I was pretty exhausted, and just hearing them laughing and joking outside. And I just lay down in my tent and started crying. And I lay there in the tent and crying, and one of the things that popped into my head though was that promise that Kevin and I had made to Vicky, to Corey Johnson's mom, the veteran whose ashes we were carrying. And it was like I was thinking in that tent, like, I'm not going to go home and tell her that I didn't make it. And that was one of those things that just kind of snapped me out of that. And it was weird after I made that decision. It wasn't like the pain went away, but it did change my perspective about it. And I think after I made that decision in my mind that I refused to stop, then my mind stopped thinking about the choice, and it started thinking about what I had to do.
Yeah, I mean, everyone tells me who's done it says there's going to be plenty of times on that mountain where you're second-guessing yourself, and your mind starts saying you can't do it. But really, you talk to anyone who's done it, and it becomes more of you just got to go do it, right? You got to sort of put those thoughts out of your head.
That's the amazing. I think that's one of the most amazing things about the mountains in general. That's what they provide, is that chance to learn a lot about ourselves and kind of where does our mind go when we aren't inundated with emails and voicemails and soccer games or board meetings or classes or practice or all this stuff. Like, and we have to really sort of like control and direct our focus. Like it's tough because your mind will absolutely start wandering off into those places where you have those doubts. And the thing is that, that's doubts and stuff like that are going to go and creep up and arise, and you kind of have to know ahead of time that they're going to be there. But, you have to go and keep in mind that you control your thoughts. You don't control a lot of circumstances on the mountain. You don't control the weather. You don't control the pace at which other people are going. You don't control sometimes even whether or not you got a blister or what. There are things you can do to minimize it, but a lot of stuff's out of your control. You just got to go and remember that your thoughts are in your control.
Yeah. A couple people had the question of did altitude affect you any at all? Did you have any issues with the altitude?
I think I had it less than the rest of the group. I mean, I definitely did feel it. I felt winded, and there were two things I think that helped me. One was I've just kind of got a weird physiological advantage in altitude because my heart has to work a lot less just to go and get the blood to the extremity and back. So for me, I've always been able to hold my breath for freakishly long periods of time. If you think about your heart and your lungs, and it oxygenates the blood and sends it out to the extremity and back. And for me, there's my arms and at the elbows and legs right at the knees, and it's only got to go like halfway. And so that helped. And I think the other thing that helped is I bought a gas mask to train in, and I'm pretty sure you can still buy these things on Amazon. It's I think it was just I'm actually looking it up right now.
I think I saw that. Is it called the training mask?
Hey, there's a training mask. You can actually, what they buy in a lot of ways is it's an Israeli gas mask. Yeah, you can get it for $22 on it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime, so you can get it next day delivery. But basically, what it is it's an Israeli citizen issue civilian gas mask. You can buy the training mask version of it, which is a little bit more expensive. This is a $22 variety, but that it will restrict the oxygen while you're training, and you can just add a little bit of tape over the end of the nozzle to go and dictate how much airflow you want to go and get through it. And I swear that thing helped me out.
And you look really stylish running around town with that thing on, I bet.
Well, it's kind of funny. I do CrossFit workouts to train, and some people kind of freak out when they see me doing CrossFit in general because it's like intense and kind of weird looking. But when I travel a lot to hotels and speeches and stuff like that, so when I'm in a hotel gym, sometimes people freak out when they see me doing CrossFit workouts just in general. But when they
must be looking at you like, wow, that guy's really a doomsday prepper.
Right, exactly. He takes his preparation seriously. Yeah, it was. They were wondering what I should be telling them.
That's funny. So Rusty has a question here. He wanted to know where you began the ascent of the Western Breach. He said, we hiked the Machami route, just trying to get a visual of where you summited that.
Yeah, it's so the base, really the route to go at Western Breach, there's a crossroads right at Lava Tower. And so Lava Tower, which is around 14,500 feet or so, then you can really go left or you can go right. And so we just opted to take a left at Lava Tower and just straight up that western side. If you go right, then you're going to go down to the eastern side, around the whole base of the mountain, through the valleys, and then up the eastern side, which is the route that most everybody goes.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Well, I think that's, I want to be respectful of your time here. I know it's getting late on the East Coast, so we'll wrap it up. But tell you, dude, thank you very, very much. Really, I mean, it's we really, really do appreciate it. It's huge, to get people to help out and to sort of tell what they do. And I come to Atlanta every 3 or 4 months. The next time I'm out there, I'll buy you dinner on me. And but I do, we do totally do appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's I hope you guys, you're going to have the time of your life. So I think that, if there's one thing to leave you with, you can be focused on getting to the summit, and getting to the summit's awesome, but it's not about that. It's about the whole trip that you're taking in. So really, make sure you get those moments where you just kind of stop and reflect and, make that strong mental imprint of the whole time, because that's what it's all about. Reaching the top is just a second of it.
Totally agree. In that ESPN video, the one piece that sticks with me is that scene, that part where you're talking about it's not how far you've gone, but how far you've come. And, that's huge. Take it in, enjoy it. This is going to be a once in a lifetime for a lot of people. And enjoy the pain.
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle, thank you so much. You're welcome to stay on if you want. If you want to jump off, you can jump off. But we appreciate it, and thank you very much. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. All right.
Thank you. So let's move on, guys. So that was great, man. That was incredible. I mean, you just can't. And I can't think of anyone more inspirational, especially when you watch that ESPN video. That was phenomenal. So good. That was good. So want to introduce Joel Warady from Enjoy Life Foods. Guys, almost everyone I'm looking at on this call who's an EE patient has eaten the foods that this guy's company produces and sells. and they are now a sponsor of our climb. So they're actually going to be our food sponsor here. We got a sponsorship deal going with them, and they're the sponsor of this webinar. So make sure you keep buying Enjoy Life foods, keep telling people about it. But I want to give Joel a few minutes to sort of talk about the company, talk about their commitment to people who've got issues with foods, and he's got a great story. So Joel, are you with us?
I'm with you. I hope you can hear me, Ira.
We can. Thank you.
Okay. Well, great. Well, I want to make this quick because I know we're running a bit over time, and plus the fact that's a pretty hard act to follow. Kyle talking about climbing a mountain and with his extremities that he has, and I'm going to tell you about how we make cookies. So it's just not the same. But we're really excited to be one of the sponsors of this climb. I think what you guys are doing is great. Ira first approached me and asked me if I would join the climb with you guys, and imagine how sheepish I'm feeling right now after hearing Kyle's story. And I have enough problems walking to the Starbucks, so I got some work to do. But we're going to be with you in spirit. Part of our sponsorship we talked about with Ira, we definitely want to provide you guys with some food and for both before and after the climb. And I know during the climb you guys are going to need a lot of protein, so I'm not sure that our products are going to be along, but you can always take our chocolate chips. Just real quickly,
we'll love the chocolate chips, believe me.
Enjoy Life. Our initial focus has always been on people with either celiac disease or gluten intolerance or food allergies, and that's really been our primary focus. But over the years, we had a lot of people with EE contact us and tell us that they could eat our foods, and certainly chocolate chips being one of them. And so we started to first we started to research EE, and then really started to embrace the community. And while the EE community for us is still a relatively small group of people that are buying our products, we think it's so important because we know the challenges of living with EE and the challenges of finding foods that you can eat and digest and enjoy. And with Enjoy Life, we're very focused, as the name states, that you can enjoy life every single day, just like your friends, just like your relatives, and eat normal, everyday foods. And that has always been our goal, is to create great-tasting foods that are safe for everyone. And over the years, we think our products have really increased in their taste. We think they taste much better today than they did 5 years ago. We're coming out with a lot of new products. I think you've seen some of them on the shelf. We continue to introduce new products, and we enhance them. So one of the latest enhancements over the last 17 months is all of our products are now verified non-GMO, which means they're all verified no genetically modified organisms. And we think going forward that's going to become a really big issue. We've done something to our food chain over the years in America, and many people feel GMOs are part of it. So until the science is proven, we wanted to make sure all of our products are non-GMO. A lot of them are vegan. They're all kosher. They're all halal certified. So there are all these things about clean ingredients that we're really focused on. And the great thing over the last 10.5 years is we've grown. And, we say it's great, not from a standpoint of profitability, but it's great that we've been able to grow and get our products out to more and more stores. We're in about 13,000 stores throughout North America, and that continues to grow as well. Again, I don't want to take a lot of time. You don't want to hear a commercial. I think, the opportunity for me tonight is to say thanks. Thanks for all the great support you've given the brand over the years, and we appreciate it. We love hearing from you. So you can always email me directly. Ira's got my email, or call us. And anytime you want to share any thoughts, we'd love to hear from you. So again, thanks again for all the support over the years. And we're looking forward to supporting this climb.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for being a sponsor of what we're doing. It's very important to us to have good partners in what we're doing, and we really do appreciate it. So thank you very, very much.
Sure.
All right, guys. Well, cool. So let's move on to some other stuff. Let's talk about some fundraising. So right now, last I looked, we're at about 37 grand, which is about 10% of our goal. We really, we got to pick up the pace here. Again, we have less than 365 days before the cutoff. I know some of you are starting to put some stuff together, which is really good. We've got, I think Melinda's doing a concert thing, and Dwayne's working on a thing with a Kickstarter project, and there's a lot of things going on. So keep in mind that we've got to keep up the effort. You don't want to get caught at the end not being able to hit your goals. So keep that in mind as we go along. And for those of you on the call who want to get involved, I mean, obviously we can still get climbers. If you want to climb with us, we still have some openings there. You can go to our website, ClimbforEE.org, click on donate, and do what you can. Every $5, every $10, every $1,000 helps, and it's gonna help get us to our goal and help find a cure, hopefully, for this disease. And we can't forget, at the end of the day, we're doing this for the Cured Foundation, which is right out of Chicago, Joel, right in your neck of the woods. And the thing I like about them is that they actually give 100% of all their profits to research. This woman, Ellen, doesn't take any administrative fees at all. She does it all for free, just because her daughter has EE and she's trying to find the disease. So we're funding Cincinnati Children's Hospital, Denver Children's Hospital, a lot of doctors around the country trying to do research into hopefully finding a cure for this disease here in the short term. So we want to make sure, I want everyone to go on the climb, and we got to make sure that we're raising our money. I know Helen's been busy. I see her there. Helen's in Australia right now, believe it or not. So Helen and Melita are going to be our climbers who came the farthest to get to us. So that's cool. Guys, I'm going to open up the call here real quick. Just to see if you guys have any questions, if you want to talk about anything. Neil, you can talk about the Jamba Juice thing. Dwayne, you can talk about the Kickstarter. Helen, you can talk about all that stuff you're doing there. So Melinda, you can talk about your concert thing that you're doing. So let me open it up here if I can figure out how to do that.
All participants are now unmuted.
All right, everyone should be live now. So Neil, you want to talk about the Jamba Juice thing you're doing? I don't know if you can hear us. All right, we'll skip Neil. Neil, can you hear me? No. Dwayne, you want to talk about Kickstarter?
Okay, I don't know who all are familiar with Kickstarter. I know that Ira wasn't, to my surprise. I've been studying it for a while, and I think I'm going to do a project on Kickstarter where I'm going to produce a photo book of the expedition and sell it on eBay. That satisfies their requirement that it not be a charitable project, but I can then ask people to invest in the project, and I'll give them rewards in the way of pictures from the expedition. We'll see how it goes. I have to set a limit or a goal for how much I get, and that has to be how much it takes for me to go on the trip. And if I don't get that much invested, I don't get anything. So I'll try it, see if it works, and then maybe move on to something else.
Okay, perfect. Helen, you want to talk about some of the stuff you've been doing that's working in Australia, down under?
Yeah. G'day, everybody. Well, I've set up, I'm doing curry nights, actually on a very odd occasion, but the big thing at the moment is I've set up shop in my house selling second-hand clothing, and it was only meant to be like an afternoon thing, and it's actually become quite popular amongst friends and friends of friends. It's in my lounge room, permanently set up, and so the money's just coming in bit by bit with that. I've just advertised through friends and family and through also some classifieds here, and I was inundated with secondhand clothing. And then on the side, I've just started to design some wristbands and button badges. I'll be selling some recipe books too, just very low-key, like recipes of all the fundraisers that we hold at home, like our pizza nights and our curry for Kili nights. Yeah, I guess that's probably it. I've also got photo to canvas vouchers. That there's a company in Australia that give you vouchers, like you just pay for the printing. So it costs me about $10 for 50 vouchers, and I sell them for $10 in order for people to get massive discounts off getting photos onto canvas. And it's every single dollar, so $10 for one voucher goes directly to the fund. And so far it's very slow, but I've just got it there in the background, and occasionally people buy them. So apart from donating online, just having little things on the side like that doesn't take up a lot of time. Doing tea towels, that's happening soon as well. And in fact, everybody who is on the climb, I'm not sure if you're aware, but your pictures on the CrowdRise site, I've got an artist from Melita School who is she's a wonderful artist. She's sketching everyone's picture of their face, and we're going to be putting that onto tea towels and selling them here in Australia. So once the design's done, if anyone is interested in utilising that design and wanting to do it for something else in America, I'm quite happy. I've told her that she has to be happy with me giving it to other people in America to sell as well. So so that's just doing bits and pieces like that.
That's awesome. And guys, I'm going to tell you something. Helen sort of discounts this secondhand clothing thing, but you tell me if I'm wrong, but I think she did the secondhand clothing thing. We would call it maybe a garage sale here in the U.S., but her friends donated clothes and stuff. I think she pulled in like $1,300, right? Am I right?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's just simple little ideas, right? Everyone could do that. You get people to donate a bunch of stuff, do a garage sale on a Saturday, and pull in $1,000 like that. So that's an awesome idea. Hey Neil, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, can you talk about the Jamba Juice thing real quick?
Okay. Still navigating through how it exactly works, but Jamba Juice has a charity connection where you can sign up for a membership card, and I think Ira's showing his. And basically what you can do is it gives you the organization recognition for the fundraising that you're doing, and people who get the cards it's almost like a prepaid card where you put some money on it, and then 10% of whatever you spend goes to the charity that you're raising money for. And it looks like you can distribute that or get as many people to sign up for those cards as you can. Not every outlet supports it, so it's a little strange in how they've got the actual list of the outlets. But if we can get people to sign up and do that, every little thing will help, and a check every quarter will go to directly to Cured for our fundraiser. And I'll be getting my card when I get back to North Carolina this weekend and start using it and see how that goes.
I said I was on mute. I checked online, and the card's good at like 700 Jamba Juices nationally. So I'll send out the details on it. But I think that's a great idea. Melinda, you want to talk about what you're doing?
Sure. Just to let you know, I've done the last 2 Saturdays. I've also done a garage sale here, and I've raised $140 so far. Some people
awesome.
team, and I just explained to them what we were raising the money for, and even though they didn't buy anything, they'd give me a $20 bill. So I plan on doing that all throughout the summertime whenever I have a free Saturday. Otherwise, what I have been putting together for the last couple weeks is one of my boyfriend's good friends is in a band, and we got him along with another band that he works closely with to agree on a specific date, and we're going to do a fundraising benefit concert. I have reached out to a few really large bands as well as a whole bunch of other local bands, and now I have about 4 or 5 of them that are working on trying to commit to our date and be able to help. I also have a couple other bands that are on tour that are unable to help but are going to donate some items for me to have a silent auction during the time of our concert. So with the venue that I had contacted, they are going to allow me to set up the door price, and then we get all of the cover charges of people coming in.
That's awesome. So lots of great ideas. Macy, I see you're doing something. Tell us about it. I think you're on mute still. I think your phone's muted.
Oh, okay, yeah. So last week, me and my mom, we sent an email to the Fort Bragg newspaper and the local news station, and we're trying to get them to basically write about our story. We already know that the paragliders, but we have yet to get a reply from the news station. And then we're going to buy wristbands and sell them somewhere. I have no idea yet, but
Very cool. So lots of great ideas. Any other ideas that you guys are working on that I'm not aware of, that I don't know about?
Hey, one small thing that probably are going to do this summer is at Great Outdoor Provision, which is in North Carolina. Some parts. We're going to do a table. We got some flyers about some parts, and so we're going to do a table about how do you fund Kilimanjaro without food. Right? Keep going into the whole and Great Outdoor Provision in construction on the computer for this.
Hey Neil, we're getting a bunch of feedback from you. I'm not sure anyone picked up a word you just said, because it sounded like you were speaking Chinese to me. But, oh yeah, that's better. Go ahead.
Okay. Charlie and I have talked to the Great Outdoor Provision, who has donated some money for the North Carolina team, some gift cards. And we'll be able to set an information table basically in front of their store, and with people coming through, I've got flyers laid out. It talks about what we're doing, got the launches on the back, all of our link information on it. We'll hand that out, and we've got a bunch of flyers from AppTech that we're going to hand as well. We're going to have the whole climb for cured and try to catch people and talk about what it would be like climbing.
Yeah, so if you could send me, Neil, if you can send me that brochure, that'd be great. I'll share it with the team. I might already have it, who knows, but if you can send it to me, that'd be great. We'll share it with everyone. What else, guys? Anything else?
And I couldn't hear you completely. Getting a lot of feedback. But what I did for when I helped out with the local food allergy walk that I did for a couple of years here in Michigan, when we wanted to make brochures and stuff, we would take the nonprofit number to a local printing place, and they would print the brochures for free. I don't know if that was covered, but a lot of times those for nonprofit organizations.
Wow, that's great.
Great idea.
Very good. All right, guys, so we're coming up on the hour here, so I know it's getting late on the East Coast. I need to go home. Australia, I don't know what time it is there, but I have no idea. I'm so confused by it. It's tomorrow. So guys, keep up the good work. Keep pushing. Keep fundraising. And I want you thinking about what Kyle said. You got to have your why, right? If your why is strong enough, all these other details don't mean anything. They'll all happen. You just got to have the why down. And be thinking about that. And feel free to give me a call if you have any questions or comments or concerns or anything. And I want to thank Kyle Maynard for joining us tonight. I want to thank Joel from Enjoy Life Foods. And we'll talk again soon. Thanks, guys, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.